How should I say hi? I have to have a signature hi. Sziasztok! Hey everyone, this is Amade, I'm back. And today we're gonna go through part 2 of the full tutorial that we're doing from sketching, line art, to flat colors, to shadows and highlights. And in this video we are gonna do flat colors in the background, so let's get into it! Woo! So first what we're gonna do is, from your reference, you're gonna pick a skin tone that's not too dark and not too light. I picked the middle of the forehead. And then you're gonna go to airbrushing in Procreate and pick a hard airbrush or an equivalent brush for whichever software you use. Then next you're gonna create a new layer that you're gonna start coloring on right under the line art. Then I also love to set the layer mode to multiply on the line art layer. After that, click back on the layer you're gonna color. And then you will also wanna make sure that you color in the line as well, so you don't only color in between the lines, but you are gonna color over the lines. So right now I'm coloring the skin and I don't really worry about staying it between the lines because I know that I'm gonna paint the hair over it. And the reason why I am going to actually adjust the edges right there for her arms is because there is a piece of hair that is falling in front of her arm. So I know that for that I will want to stay within the lines so that I can put that layer in front of it. And the hard airbrush is really helpful because it has clean edges and then it also has a full coverage. So it's gonna be easier to not have little white areas that left uncovered. I'm sure it happened to everyone before when you are coloring a piece that accidentally you miss areas and then you turn off the background and it's white, or change the background color and it's some random color showing through in that area. So I just love the hard airbrush because this one you will not run into this problem. And you know, later on you can always add different textures. It is just helpful to have this base layer. And so we're gonna do the same for the hair. We are picking a neutral brown. It doesn't really matter what color you pick right now because later you can just tap on the layer and adjust the color in the layer modes. So I am just outlining the hair, very basic. So I am gonna speed this up a little bit. And to just understand if this is your first time coloring digitally, the reason why I am outlining the layer with just one basic color is that afterwards this area that is colored in will be logged. So whenever I want to apply shades, shadows and highlights, I can just select and work on that layer, and my shadows and highlights will only apply to that area that I added the flat colors to in the beginning. And actually the shadows and highlights are going to be covered in my part 3 video, which will be the third part, because in this one we're just gonna talk about the flat colors and how those work with the layers and the brushes. And then also we're gonna cover how I did my background for this piece, which I think will be really fun. And that's coming up in a little bit in this video, so I'm just gonna speed it up so you will see how I cover each area with my flat colors. After the hair, I'm gonna cover the eyes and the lips, the dress, and the flowers. So next up, I'm gonna do the sleeve, and to color the sleeve, you're gonna create a new layer from the dress. So far you did every flat color on a different layer, and if you forgot to, that's okay too. With the selection tool, you can just select your colors and then cut and paste, so that will put them on a new layer. But if you remember to put every color so far on a new layer, then make sure that for the dress you create a new layer for the sleeve. And this is also a little trick that I shared in another video, but I'm gonna say it again. So after you outline your sleeve or any area that you're coloring, you can grab your color, and then after you grab your color, you can pull your pencil on the screen to the right to make sure it's fully covering the area. So that's what I just did here. And then we're gonna, after you colored in where your sleeve is, you're gonna go to the layer mode, and in the layer mode you're gonna pick the opacity and turn it down a little bit. So I turn it down to about halfway. And then for the layer mode, I also pick screen, so that kind of creates this nice effect of see-through. And you can also experiment with the layers, but for areas that is glass or see-through, I generally love picking the screen layer mode. And we got to the most exciting part, doing the background. And I love looking at references when doing the background, because it's one of the most challenging things to just do a simple background that highlights your piece very well, but it still makes it interesting. So I'm gonna just try to copy the Draw This in Your Style background. And so I picked the base color for the background color, it's this mid brown. And then for my brush, I just picked the soft brush for the yellow area, and you can see I'm just picking the colors from the reference, and with the soft brush just generally doing the gradient in the background with the little gray and the yellow. And then right now I was experimenting with the textures. So in the painting section, I found this brush called oil paint, and I'm just gonna turn down the opacity and lightly brush over where the two colors mix over each other, cross over each other with the oil paint. And then I switched over to the turpentine brush because I didn't like how the edges weren't hard enough. And on the max size with the turpentine brush, I just do some of these vertical lines to create this nice texture that you can see on the reference. And I didn't care much to make it look the exact same way as the reference, I just wanted to create the same feel. So I'm coming to the details now. I am gonna pick from the inking section the technical pen and just apply some dots and lines like if it was grass all over the place. I even turned off my reference because here the reference would be covering the area where I need to add the paint. And I tried to select it, but then I remembered I'm working on the same layer, so you can't really select your things that you're painting if you're in the same layer. Very last step for your amazing background is just picking another highly textured brush. I picked the Oriental brush, and then you just add some squiggly marks to the sides to frame your portrait a little better. And always use a reference so that you know what you're doing, unless you know what you're doing. Alright, so for the last step in this video, I'm just gonna use the liquify tool. So select all the layers that I put down so far, and up down where the magic wand is, I select liquify, and on the bottom I select push. And on the left slider, I turned it to 75%. I just turned it down a little bit so that the size of the area that I'm able to liquify is different. And I'm just fixing how I drew the lines and the colors. I like to use the liquify tool in this stage because you already kind of have an idea of the shapes that you put down for each flat color, but you didn't do all the little highlight details yet. So if you want to change up the shapes for each layer and flat color, and especially the face, then it's very easy to play around with the lines. This is actually a trick that my very good friend Milka Nina taught me, and you can definitely find her on my Instagram. I post and feature her artwork all the time, so if you're interested in getting to know about more of my tongue, guys, sorry, I'm from Hungary originally, so my accent gets in the way sometimes, but what I was trying to say is that if you'd love to get to know us more and our art, then you'll see a bunch of stuff from our life, in our stories, and especially what is coming up right now on my Instagram is a flower drawing challenge. I love to host fun challenges, so make sure to check out my Instagram for the most current one. And if actually I'm trying to tell you what I'm doing right now, I am adding a layer above the eye, a line above the eyes to indicate the eyelid, which I just noticed that I missed on the line art earlier. And I'm also fixing with Liquify a little bit the shape of the eye. So this is actually like magic to me, the Liquify tool. I just recently learned how it exists, and it's been super duper helpful. Here, after painting in the eyes, I just grabbed the smudge tool and I just smudge the edges of the eyes so that it's not such hard edge. And I like to apply this for both the eyes and the edge of the lips, and it's best to do this on the flat color layer. And now for the eyes, I created a new layer, and then I snapped the circle, the oval to place with holding the pen down, and then I just fill it in with a brown color. And then for the iris, you just use a little soft brush and put a darker circle on the eye color. And then I fill in the eyeline, the eyelashes, which I just do a thick line. And then after that, I outline the color eye so that there is a dark circle that outlines the lighter brown on the eye. And then I just add the drop shadow for the eyelid that is on the top of the white so that it blends in with the skin better. It's actually really helpful to do this. For the lips, I like to do a little shadow on the bottom of the lip, and then also the top on the lip where the light doesn't hit as much as on the top lip, bottom lip. And for the eyebrows, just make sure to keep the direction of the eyebrow, how the hair grows, so from inside out, and to add the couple pieces of hair that are loose in the middle. And then for the dots, I just pick the hard brush again and just add the dots randomly all over the place with a lighter pink color. And as you can see, I play around a little bit to see if I want to keep the outlines or want to recolor them. So for the sleeve, I decide to do the outlines in a lighter pink color, and also to reshape it a little bit because I wasn't happy with the initial shape. And then yeah, so I add the dots now, and then after that you will see that I will recolor the lines to a lighter pink right here. And then I also decided to add some shadows on the flat layer color, just because I knew that there will be areas that I saw on the reference. If you check that the triangles where the fabric would be overlapping would be a little darker. And so why am I not doing that yet? I just knew I'm gonna do that soon, so I started talking about it. But yeah, here we go. So see, I add these darker areas to the sleeve, and I'm gonna speed up the last part, which is just applying the flat colors for the lips and the flowers. And then I'm really excited to see you guys in the next video, which will be very detailed explanation of how I apply my shadows and highlights based on the flat color layers that I put down in this step in the process. So make sure to check the description for part 1, which I explained my detailed sketching process, and then after this video part 3 is coming soon, where we will finish everything up so we get our full piece. And then I hope that you can recreate the steps for your own and that you enjoyed this video. If you did so, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. You would make me the happiest human alive. So love you guys so much. Have an amazing day. Make sure to subscribe if you like this video, or check out my Instagram, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!
Why don't you use your Hungarian?
Sziasztok! Sziasztok!
And then just be like, that is Hungarian for hello!
Do you think that would sound cool?
Sure.
Szevasztok! This is the Hungarian version of hi. I am Amadea, and you might know me from the drawing. This is so bad. I have to be clear and concise and short.